to inbox zero in 5 minutes or less, and after failing several times over several years, I finally figured out a method that works. And I'm gonna share how you can make progress on your to-do list and keep your inbox clear using my 5-minute rule. All right, so let's get real. Why does keeping your inbox feel super hard and like making progress on your to-do list is just unattainable, especially once you get in the hole where your inbox is like really far from zero? And I want to preface this by saying I was one of those people who really wanted my inbox to be at zero, but I didn't totally believe that it could be attainable. So if you're one of those people who is like scoffing at this, like, yeah, right, inbox zero, I just want you to know, like, you are my people. I've been there. Okay, so back to the question, why does getting to inbox zero feel super hard? The answer, my friend, is really simple. It has to do with Newton's law. Science, we love it, we're here for it. Yep, I'm talking about the one that says an object in motion will stay in motion. But do you remember the other part of the law, which is an object at rest will stay at rest? So how do we apply it to getting to inbox zero and managing our daily to-do list? Well, honestly, another way to say this is getting started is really hard. In fact, it's the hardest part. So when we're at rest, it's really hard to get ourselves going and in motion so we can get to inbox zero and complete our to-do lists. Studies actually show that our brains have a really hard time getting started, especially if they don't know what the next step is. However, when people are learning to form habits and they just do the thing, they get started, they often get energized and excited about, making progress, and they keep doing the thing. Once people are started, it's found they actually spend more time doing the thing than they actually plan to do it. Because like I said, it's not like doing the thing is actually the hard part, it's actually getting started. We also have mindset blocks or ways of thinking that prevent us from getting started or actually making progress. Our mindset block is telling us that this thing is really hard or it's going to take a really long time to do. Because we think the thing is really big, we don't get started and we actually avoid it, right? We're like, yeah, I'm just not gonna think about that one. That's one's just gonna be on my list like forever, and like cover that up and like not do it. So our thinking is flawed because we don't actually know what it will take to get that thing done because we haven't spent time thinking about what it would actually take. So we just have no idea. Therefore, the unknown is really scary and we're like pushing that down and avoiding it. Over time, tests build up, motivation declines, and your confidence goes and all of a sudden your inbox looks like, I don't know, a day after my kids are playing in the living room and get muffin crumbs in every single part of the couch. And it's just like, I don't want to look at that. I want to avoid that. I'm just going to like turn the other way, go have a cup of coffee and just pretend that it's not a pigsty in there. Okay? Okay, so now that you know why getting started and why inbox zero feels really hard, I'm gonna teach you my method for taking 5 minutes to be able to create inbox zero, maintain it, and accomplish your tasks so you can achieve your goals. Number one, there are 2 big buckets. Either you do know what to do with an email immediately when you open it, read it, look at it, or you don't. And I say immediately because it has to be like snappy. Like if you don't know exactly what you're supposed to do with it, as soon as you open it, then it's the don't. If you do know or you have an idea of how to accomplish the thing, it's like, okay, yeah, I know what I should be doing. Okay, let's talk about bucket number 1, which is you do know what to do with an email when you open it or read it or take a look at it. In general, you either have an email that's used to portray like just in case you need to know information or FYI information. This can be an email from someone on your team or maybe like a corporate newsletter, and it's just like informational things that you're like, oh yeah, this would be helpful to know. Maybe it's from a subscription or could be even from a vendor. Once you read that email, you have taken in the information and you don't need it anymore. You can archive or delete it. Or the other type of email might be like there's something that you need to do or take action on, but you know exactly what to do, you feel confident, you know the steps, and you know you can achieve that thing. Okay, so here's like 2 situations of things you know what to do with and how you might handle them. Okay, situation 1 is the thing's gonna take less than 5 minutes to do. You know exactly what to do. You feel confident that you could just like jump right in and dive right in and take care of it. So my suggestion and what I've been doing and what other people have suggested is to just like execute on that task, get it done right now. If it's gonna take you just a couple minutes, you have the time, and just be on with it. But what I also want to suggest is do add it to your to-do list, whether it's digital. So I love using Asana for this. So I'll link my videos on Asana, the tutorials that I have. I love using this platform. Or if you like handwriting, I also love using my Leader Standard Workbook, which is a work planner I've created, and it has an I love lists page, so you can like write everything down. Now, if you feel like you can't just get it done right now, or like you want to conserve this time that you have just for sorting your inbox, you can totally schedule like a 5-minute block on your calendar and just be like, this is when I'm going to get it done. If you need to schedule 5 minutes with yourself or just time block on your calendar, a really awesome feature that is in a lot of inboxes like Outlook, for example, is you can take a email and turn it into a meeting in one click. So I'll just put a little information here to how to do that. And then here's the important part. Once you have it on your to-do list or you've completed it, archive or delete the email. You don't need it anymore. It's gone. Let your inbox be free. Okay, situation 2 is that you think it's gonna take you more than 5 minutes, but you still know what to do. You feel confident that you could just dive right into it. Schedule time on your calendar, like I said, where you can just use like the meeting feature and turn an email into a meeting, and it's like, bam, it's on your calendar, and write it on your to-do list, whether you're handwriting it, maybe using my Leader Standard Workbook, or you're using something like Asana, like a digital platform to keep track of the task. And then again, voila, archive or delete the email. And I suggest archiving it in this case because you might want to refer to it when you're actually like in doing the task. So I just like to archive. It feels safer. It's like, not as scary. Okay, so we talked about bucket 1, which is like, I do know what to do with the email. It either takes less than 5 minutes or more than 5 minutes, and I need to schedule time. So that's done. Now, bucket number 2 is when you click open or read an email, you don't know immediately what to do with it. So if it's not a snappy, like obvious, I know what to do, it's I don't know what to do. Even if you like maybe have a vague concept of what it's supposed to be, but you're not 100% confident, put this in the don't category. And what you're doing here is you're just going to automatically add it to your to-do list, again, either digital or handwritten, and then archive the email. Are you sensing a theme here? So I know for things that are big and pending like this, it can feel scary to archive the email. So what I want to do is give you a suggestion. When you're creating your task, when you're using Asana, you can actually take the task from an email and create a Asana task, and it actually puts follow up on and then the email subject line. So that's really nice because it's like, it attaches, and it even attaches the email body in the comments of the Asana task. So it's great because you can just keep track. You're like, oh, this is referring to this email that generated this task. Super organized. If you're creating your own digital list or handwritten list, I just suggest that you write the item like follow up on or do this thing and include keywords from the email subject, or just like copy the email subject. And sometimes I'll even write like, oh, sent by this person, because I like when I'm searching my archived emails to be like from, and then type the name of the person, and then maybe even like a keyword from the subject line, and then bam, it's there. It's like super easy to do. Right now, for this section of cleaning the inbox, keeping it clear and decluttered, that's it. Like when you do know what to do with something, either do it or schedule it. If you don't, take it and put it on your to-do list, archive it, and your inbox should be clean. And now there are so many other little details and different rule settings and things you can do in your inbox, but in general, this is gonna take care of most of your inbox. Okay, and sorry if it's loud, my kids are crying in the background listening to music, and what can I do? This is what I have time to film. Okay, so before I move on, I just want to let you know of some traps to be aware of as you're going through this process. And these are things I personally struggled with and want to just like give you a heads up so you can try to avoid these, or like remember that these are traps. Number 1 is I would read emails and look at them when I didn't have time to decide if I do know what to do or I don't know what to do. So this could be like when I was walking between meetings, or I'm heading out for the day and I'm looking at my inbox on my phone for whatever stupid reason. So I would read and take no action, and then those emails would just get like lost into like the sea of like forlorn emails. And then guess what? Clutter attracts clutter, and this would happen over and over and over. So even if you get an email or you have it on your phone, but it's not dedicated time for going through your inbox, like don't click on it. Like don't click on it unless you have time to take action and decide do or don't. Okay, pitfall number 2 or trap number 2 that I fell into is I would never delete or archive those FYIs or subscription or vendor emails because I would like romanticize that I might have time to actually sit down, research, read the full subscription or like the magazine and be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be like up on industry standards. I would also just be afraid that if I wanted to reference an article or had something that important that I saw is that I wouldn't be able to find it after I've archived or deleted it, but that's simply not true. The search function is like your best friend in your inbox. And honestly, if you can't find it in your email, but you really need it, you can ask a friend or Google or search your company's website. Like, it's not gonna be that big of a deal. Okay, and number 3 is I kind of talked about this in point 2, but romanticizing over the reading those articles and learning is I could and I have created a time block in the past for learning and research to try to like improve my knowledge and come up with ideas. However, I don't often have a solid time block for that, and that tends to happen like throughout my day as I have time. And so instead of like piling up these articles and saving them to read and then prioritizing other work over this learning time, I just decided, okay, if I get a vendor email or a subscription that I love, take the 2 minutes, skim it, and then if anything pops, and yes, I think of it as popping in my head or in my mind, like if anything pops out at me that's like, oh, I really want to read this or I really want to research in depth on this, then I will save it into a spot and schedule time to read it. Otherwise, I just get super brutally honest with myself and I'm like, am I gonna have time to read this or actually deal with this week or even next week? And the answer is truly like probably not or no. I just archive it and I'm not guilty about it. And then pitfall number 4 is I would never archive those things that were pending, like those large projects that I didn't know what to do with right away, where I had to sit time down and schedule and like think about what I need to do. And so the fiery items, like the things that were burning and needed to happen, would get done, but they wouldn't get archived from my inbox. And then they were taking up valuable real estate, and like I said, clutter attracts clutter, and even if that item was done, it would just start to live there, and it was like email wallpaper, and I would scroll by it every single day looking for other items that I actually needed. And I couldn't find things sometimes because I was like bogged down in the clutter of the things that were already done. So I kind of feel bad for those poor forlorn emails that just get forgotten about. No, I don't. Okay, here's the part that you've been waiting for: how to make progress on those I don't know what to do with to-do list items in 5 minutes or less to keep working towards your goals, making progress, feeling like a badass because you have inbox 0. So remember Newton's law from the beginning of the video. An object in motion stays at motion and an object in rest stays at rest. So my answer to help you get started and overcome that fear or that avoidance of what feels like a really massive big thing that you have no idea what to do with, that you're not confident about, is to get curious and start thinking about what it would take to accomplish that project. What we often miss is that we don't actually take time to think about the little pieces or the things we could do to take action on the item. We just like write it on our to-do list and it's like this massive, huge thing, and we're like, yeah, I don't have time for that right now. Like that's gonna get moved to next week. The mental block comes from fear of unknown, honestly. If I had to think about what stops me, it's just like, I don't know what I need to be doing. That's gonna take a lot of time, and honestly, like I don't have the mental energy for that right now. And sorry, my kids are crying. If you hear that in the background, they're with my hubby, they're fine. We don't like feeling less than confident about a thing or not knowing what we need to do. That's just super uncomfortable. So here's how we can just like get rid of that icky feeling. So take one of those bigger items from your to-do list and ask yourself the question, what would it actually take me to accomplish this goal? And start by making a bullet point list. It can be super casual. This isn't professional writing, like nobody is looking at this. This is you to brain dump what you think it would brain dump what it would take for you to get from where you are today, what you know today, to actually accomplishing that goal. So here's an example of submitting a financial request. This is something I recently had to do and I did not know how to do it, and it sat on my list for longer than I'd like to admit. So if I had to break it down, bullet number 1 was figure out what form I need to fill out and where this form is located. So step number 2 was review the form, figure out what information I need to fill it out, and then who needs to approve it once I submit it. Second was just find the information that I need for the form. So like gather all the information so I can actually do the thing. Step 4 was write out the information in a professional way. So like not just my bullets, but like a way that's easy for executives or whoever I'm requesting this funding for to understand. Number 5 was actually scheduling time to input the information. Like, okay, so I have the information, but when am I going to make time to do it? Number 6 was like actually sit down and input the information into the form. And number 7 was communicate to stakeholders like, hey, I did the thing, the communication of this form and this request has been made. So writing a bulleted list like this for an item that felt so big did a few things for me and can do a few things for you too. It showed me that there are smaller, achievable things I can do to make progress on that goal that would still be like helping me accomplish that bigger task, but they weren't scary or frightening. It gave myself a roadmap for actually knowing like, okay, I'm here and this is where I need to be, and here are like the steps I need to take to get there. Before this bulleted list, it was like, I'm not quite sure and I don't have the mental energy. And then the third thing it did was just increase my confidence. Like, yeah, I can do all of these steps, and I'm confident if I get stuck, I know who I can ask. Like for example, if I couldn't find the form, I could probably ask my boss like, hey, could you send me the link to the form? That's not that big of a deal. And that's the first step that would help me achieve all the other steps. So once I had this bulleted list, I could then get started and get myself out of rest and into motion. And once I started working on step 1, it was so much easier to do step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in fact, it didn't take as long as I thought. All I had to do was start by scheduling time on my calendar to get started on step 1. And it's like, once I found the form and I knew it was in the form, I could quickly decide, do I have that information or not? And I realized like I have most of what I need, I just need a couple things. So by the time I got through the first few steps, the last few steps took minutes, seriously minutes. And this is a thing that had been on my list for quite a while. So by spending 5 minutes, by thinking about what we actually need to do, what would it take to break this bigger task into smaller pieces, you can actually get out of rest, get in motion, and accomplish a ton towards your goals. That big task goes from like this scary monster to this like really normal part of your workday that's like not that bad and actually maybe a little bit enjoyable because you're like, hell yeah, cheers to this coffee, I just like solved a problem. Hey. You can start to feel proud of yourself and that it actually gives you proof for the next time, like, I can totally do this. So that is my 5-minute method for getting to maintaining inbox 0 and making meaningful progress on your to-do list and goals in like 5 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this information and I want to hear from you. So if I missed anything that you do to get to inbox 0, or if you enjoyed these tips and are doing some of those, let me know in the comments. And if you want to dive deeper or ask me a specific question that you don't want to throw in the comments, you can always DM me on Instagram at KFA Consulting. And if you are obsessed with organization and to-do lists, like I mentioned, I will link both the Asana video and the video on my Leader Standard Workbook planner, so you can check out those 2 things for managing your inbox. Thanks for being here with me, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.